live
should bring in tax, and what it
special
actually brought in is around £36 billion. But the head of the National Audit Office said that it's reasonable if you properly resource
tax.
Majesty's Revenues, His Majesty's Revenue and Customs, to bring in an additional £6 billion, and we're determined to do that. The government have said they can bring in another billion. We think let's bring in the whole £6 billion because we know
Shadow
public
cabinet
services are on their knees, and we will use that money
talk.
for 2 million additional appointments every
UK,
year to
well,
clear the
politician
backlog
UK
in those
2024
difficult
MP
voting lists, to have breakfast clubs at all primary
2024.
schools, and also those emergency dental appointments, which are so important, especially with the number of kids who have never seen a dentist. So this is to fund
Population's getting too big. That's the big problem as well.
on tax avoidance,
The population.
properly complied with.
And in order to do that, you're suggesting that you will put more bodies basically doing the work to make the system more efficient. That's not going to happen quickly, is it? That could take years.
You can ramp it up actually pretty quickly. At the start, you might need to bring in some extra resource, but then you need to train people up within the government to do this work. But this isn't rocket science. Previous governments have managed to close that tax gap that it's called. The last Labour government did it, and actually the coalition government, the Conservative-led coalition government did it. But the government have taken its eye off the ball on this, and as a result, last year alone, the tax gap increased by £5 billion. That's £5 billion that could have gone into our frontline public services, but didn't because the government aren't working hard enough to make sure that everyone pays their fair share of tax.
Just to say one thing, the latest tax gap we have here is 4.8%, so that's quite low by historical standards, but actually it was 7.5 in 2005 when Labour were in power.
Yes, and we managed to bring it down. It then fell further under the coalition government, but last year alone, the tax gap increased by £5 billion.
Tax revenue for you.
And that is money. You know, when everyone else
Like
is
tax
seeing
revenue.
their tax go up, council
Shadow
tax going
cabinet
up,
UK 24.
the tax
That's what it
thresholds
is called.
frozen, so more people being dragged into paying tax. It is right then that we make sure that everybody who should be paying tax is paying tax. And one of the specific things that we're announcing today is that the government's plans that they announced in March about non-DOMs. They said they were taking our policy. Well, it turns out they've taken it but left a load of loopholes in it. And so
that's
if
awful.
You are a non-dom, you can still get out of
I think she'd make a good leader for the Labour Party in the future, don't you think she would? I reckon she would.
50% discount. We don't get 50% discounts on our taxes. People who go out and work today, teachers, plumbers, doctors, nurses, they don't get a 50% discount. Why should some of the wealthiest people in the country get that discount? We would abolish that, and we'd put that money into fund.
It's been a fair society, doesn't it, my friend?
So you're saying that your non-dom tax tightening would get more money for the government and then for public services than the Conservatives would. But isn't the fact that by adopting your policy on non-DOMs, they forced you to kind of go scrabbling down the back of the sofa, looking for extra cash like you have today with the tax avoidance? They forced you into this position.
There is such bad debt.
All of the policies in Labour's manifesto
well, it's countries at the
Labour
moment.
government, if that's what we
why we keep spending money on Ukraine? We shouldn't do that, should we? We should stop that.
That's what people can expect
annoying
from me as
Putin.
Chancellor.
Bad
That's what
move.
people
Bad
can
move.
expect from me if I become Chancellor of the Exchequer. The government did take some of our policies in the budget earlier this year. They say that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, so that's fine with me. I then had to go away in an orderly fashion, go through all the government documents and make sure our flagship policies around cutting NHS waiting lists, breakfast clubs at primary schools, emergency dental appointments, that those policies are still costed and funded. I'm announcing how we're doing that today with a crackdown on tax avoidance, but also strengthening the rules, ensuring that non-DOMs are paying their fair share of tax in the place that they make their home, Britain.
It must be awkward for you, though, coming on to talk about tax avoidance when at the same time Labour's deputy leader, Angela Rayner, is still facing questions about whether she paid the right amount of tax over the sale of her council home back in, 2015. We should say she insists she's done absolutely nothing wrong, but, the police are still looking at this and their decision-making in the past. That is a distraction, isn't it? And could continue to be a distraction when you talk about tax.
Well, Angela's answered questions about this in quite some detail, and she's also sought additional tax and legal advice. And she is confident, I am confident, that she has paid the tax that was owed. But all this is from a decade ago, the arrangements with her and her ex-husband before she was a member of parliament. This is about what a Labour government would do if we are elected later this year to bring in
Conservatives digging up dirt in the past, aren't they, my friends?
Services. And I think
Which
that's what
is,
people want to
it's
know,
not viably
whether Labour
anything to do
are
with
serious
today, is it?
about funding our public services and ensuring
Just trying to take you down a peg or two.
tax. I am determined to do both of those things.
But how confident are you that this particular
This lady's a good
issue
lady
is
to be
actually
a leader of the Labour Party in the
Well,
future.
look,
I vote for
Angela is a
her.
good friend and a colleague
If
of
she's
mine,
like-
and I have full faith and trust in her. She has answered questions about this, and I've confidence that 10 years ago she paid the right amount of tax when she sold her home.
Talking about what you do with the money that comes in, The Guardian this morning are saying that you and Keir Starmer are being urged to resurrect the Sure Start scheme, which lots of people will remember Gordon Brown and Tony Blair implementing to help poorer families. Is that something that you're prepared to consider?
Well, one of the things that the money that I've said that we will raise by tackling tax avoidance and cracking down on non-DOMs is to fund free breakfast clubs in all primary schools.
But that would only be part of Sure Start, wasn't it? That was a much more comprehensive strategy.
Yes, and it was a fantastic thing that helped many mums get back to work, particularly mums, but dads as well. And
What
gave
was
good children
again?
Look, it was a fantastic.
Especially single dads and
scheme.
single
By the time
mothers.
I had my children, it had already been got
Oh,
rid of
they can't
by
really do it, can they?
Conservative, government, but I know it made a big difference to the lives of.
They are hard the
people.
time, the single
There are
mothers and
lots
single
of
fathers
things
too.
that I would like to do, but I will always make sure our policies are fully costed and fully funded. And the breakfast clubs that we will fund will make a big difference to make sure that all children have a good start to the day and parents can take on more hours at work.
Could we see that phrase, Sure Start, in your manifesto?
Well, look, let's see when the manifesto is published. Bridget Phillipson, our Shadow Education Secretary, is absolutely committed to having a comprehensive package around childcare, because we know it's about ensuring kids get a good start to life, and it's about ensuring more mums and dads can take on work and support their families. Childcare is a massive cost. All of us that are mums and dads know that, and we want to make it a bit easier for mums and dads to balance
Very
being good
interesting.
parents, but also taking on work.
We have talked about
Fascinating.
childcare on this programme quite recently in a lot of detail. What you say there are a lot of things you'd like to do. What would you like to do about childcare?
Well, look, the breakfast clubs is a sort of
Okay,
a
talk about
down
breakfast
payment
clubs. What-
on that.
Other than that, you say there's a lot of things you'd like to do, but you haven't said what they are. We know we're talking
Time
about breakfast clubs
7:24
today.
now.
What's the next
AM in
one?
the morning.
Well, look, I'm always going to say that everything will be fully costed and fully funded. I'm not going to start announcing policies without saying where the money is going to come from.
But
But
you know.
today, well, no, look, today, what we are setting out with all the money behind it,
I
2
see
million additional appointments in the NHS
Shadow
a year, 700,000
lady.
emergency dental appointments, as well as those free breakfast clubs for children of primary school age.
We talked a lot about tax, haven't we? And one of the things, if we talk to friends, family, a lot of people say, working people would say they would be happy to pay a bit more tax if the roads didn't have so many potholes, if their elderly parent could get a bed when they needed it as an emergency.
they got better service, is what they're
if
talking
they could
about.
get a GP appointment. What do you say to those people who say, well, I wouldn't mind paying a bit more tax. You're focusing on very, very wealthy people here. But what about the workers who say that?
Well, look, we are still in the middle of a cost of living crisis.
True.
And the tax burden on working people is at a 70-year high. In fact, by the end of
It's
the
awful.
next few years, the average family are going to be paying £870 more in tax. So working people are being
For
taxed
everything,
a lot
food,
today.
water,
What the announcement today is saying
electricity.
is that I don't want to tax working people more, but people who are not paying their fair share of tax should.
The food
be. And I think it's
price
right
is
to
going
cut
up
down on tax
end of this
avoidance
year,
to
the
make
next year,
sure
because
that
of
the
climate
tax code
change
is
again.
complied with, and making
Something
sure
else
that
altogether.
non-DOMs are paying their fair share of tax before we come to working people and say pay even more. That's not what I would like to do. I would like the tax burden on working people to be lower.
I always
but
35% about the
only
future.
achieve that
Oh,
if you're
Joe.
bringing in all of this tax that's going
Cost of
missing
wealth.
because of tax avoidance and a failure to comply properly with the tax code. That is going to be my focus, making sure that everybody is paying their fair share of tax rather than increasing the burden even more on working people.
A lot of your members, a lot of voters, a lot of people watching right now will say they would like you to say, well, let's tax richer people more. If not working people, tax richer.
Aye.
Well, look, non-DOMs are some of the wealthiest people
Yeah,
in this
I'm not
country.
talking about people who are not paying it about. I'm talking about income tax on UK residents, richer people.
No, that's not my priority. My priority
So, but
is
people are
making
saying
sure.
it could be, should be.
Well, they'll have
To be fair,
to
society.
express their views at the ballot box, but this is
He
about
should have- he would £40 million to pay more.
share of tax and making sure that people
Why don't you get away with it?
pay their taxes here. That's a very important.
Imagine if you go
principle.
to
Everybody
the
else
Shard
goes out to work
for
so
an evening or
pay
two
their
to pay
tax.
more as
If you
well.
make Britain your home, you should be
For an
contributing
evening
to
out
public
or a
services.
night out or,
And that's what
you know,
we-
a week or two in there
Great to have you here on the sofa. Thank you so much.
in London City.
Thank you.
Thank you.
They scribe on Sign Jazz will force people who always quite spot the needs of the money way needs a few. This is my friend's spot. This is my friend's Barking Chimp every Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. ITF 5 things or Hills Radio. So shit every Friday, which is a good show to listen to. And this is my friend Shane for the use every Friday at 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on the Surrey Hills Radio Show every Friday live. Friday as well. That is a good show to listen to with Cindy Lou. And this is my friend John the Last Show every Sunday at 9 to 12 p.m. live on the Wokie Radio Station Show every Sunday at 9 to 12 p.m. It's a good show to listen to on Last Show every Sunday on the Wokie Radio Show. If you're like John Andrews, these squash on side just like go play, so I try to play some more. Bye everyone.